All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to be diving into something that's really interesting to me, shoppable recipes.
Oh, yeah.
And we've gotten a whole stack of articles and press releases from you all out there.
Yes.
So we're going to be unpacking all the different trends and the technology behind it all, and then really what it means for you, the home chef.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, come on, who doesn't love the idea of skipping that last-minute grocery store run?
The convenience is amazing, but honestly, that's just the beginning of what we're talking about.
Okay.
Like, this is going to be a revolution in how we discover recipes and plan our meals and even how we think about food.
Wow. Okay, so before we get too far into the future here, I think we need to make sure we're all on the same page.
Sure.
What exactly is a shoppable recipe? It sounds very futuristic to me.
Well, it's actually a lot more simple than you might think.
Got it.
Basically, it's just a recipe online that has a direct link to an online grocery store.
Oh,
You just click a button and boom, all the ingredients get added to your digital cart, ready for pickup or delivery.
so instead of manually searching for every single ingredient on Instacart or whatever,
Yeah.
it's all done for you.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. And the technology behind it is fascinating.
Okay.
There's something called APIs involved, which basically allow different websites and platforms to talk to each other seamlessly.
Uh-huh.
It's like a digital handshake between the recipe site and your grocery app.
That makes sense. I
Yeah.
can start to see the appeal there, for
Mm.
sure. No more forgetting that one crucial spice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I know you sent over some info on a company called Recipe Shop.
Yes.
And they seem to be kind of carving out a niche for themselves in this space.
Yeah, they are very laser focused on families who want to eat healthy, but also don't want to sacrifice convenience.
Right.
And their whole website really emphasizes making healthy meals effortless,
Yeah.
which I think we can all agree is kind of a major pain point for a lot of busy families.
Totally. And I noticed they even highlight the specific nutritional targets in their recipes,
Oh, yeah.
like 45 grams of carbs per serving or 500 milligrams of sodium. That's a level of detail you don't really see even in health-focused cookbooks sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's a really smart move on their part. They're really tapping into this growing consumer demand for not just healthy food, but food that fits very specific dietary needs and goals.
Yeah.
It's like personalized nutrition meets meal planning.
So it's more than just like slapping a healthy label on a recipe.
Yeah.
They're actually thinking about how this can really fit into people's lives.
Yeah, precisely. And, even though Recipe Shop is a smaller service, they are a great example of this larger trend.
Okay,
The future of food is going to be all about personalization and catering to individual needs.
got it. So we have Recipe Shop doing their thing, but then, there's this huge partnership between the New York Times Cooking and Instacart.
Yes.
And that feels like a really major development in this whole shoppable recipe
Oh,
world.
absolutely. This is like the heavyweight champion stepping into the ring.
Oh.
The New York Times Cooking has this huge library of recipes and all this culinary clout. And then Instacart has this incredible delivery network and customer base.
Yeah.
That's a pretty formidable combination.
You're not kidding. I mean, the New York Times Cooking is calling this their first collaboration of this size.
Wow.
So it's a big deal when they make a move like this.
Yeah, it really signals a shift in how these major players are approaching the food space.
Okay.
Think about it. The New York Times Cooking this gives them a way to make money from their recipes,
Right.
which have always kind of been a free resource online.
Yeah.
And then for Instacart, they get to offer this amazing premium perk to their Instacart Plus members and potentially attract a whole wave of new subscribers.
So both companies stand to benefit from this.
For sure.
But what about the home cook? What's in it for them?
Well, for starters, just imagine, you're browsing your favorite New York Times cooking recipe, and then boom, all of a sudden, all the ingredients are magically appearing on your doorstep a few hours later.
Okay, yeah.
Talk about convenience.
That does sound pretty good. And we can't forget about those subscription deals either.
Oh,
Annual Instacart Plus members get a free year of New York Times Cooking, and then New York Times Cooking users get discounts on Instacart Plus.
that's amazing. Yeah.
So they're creating this whole ecosystem where everyone wins,
yeah.
except maybe for our wallets.
Well, that's an interesting point. On the surface, it looks like a win-win,
Yeah.
right? But what about the people who aren't already part of these subscription services? Are they going to be left behind in this whole shoppable recipe revolution?
Hold on now, that raises a red flag for me.
Yeah.
What about the people who can't afford these subscriptions or simply just prefer to find their recipes from different sources?
Yeah.
Are they going to have fewer options?
That's a really important question, and it's something that we're definitely going to delve into more as we continue this deep dive.
Okay.
This convenience comes with some pretty big questions about access and the future of recipe discovery for everyone.
So we've gone from defining shoppable recipes to uncovering these huge business strategies and potential challenges here.
For sure.
And it seems like all of this is directly tied to technology that is rapidly changing the way we interact with food.
And remember, this technology isn't just about convenience.
Oh,
It's about data.
okay.
Every time you add a recipe's ingredients to your cart, you're generating all this valuable information about your eating habits and your preferences.
Oh, wow, you're right.
Yeah.
So companies like Instacart are getting a glimpse into our kitchens, our pantries,
Yeah.
maybe even our cravings.
It's true.
So this brings up some interesting questions about data privacy.
Yes.
Where does all this data go? Who has access to it? And are we really comfortable with that level of insight?
Those are all great questions and definitely things to consider.
Yeah.
This data could be used for all sorts of things like personalized recommendations or even targeted advertising.
Mm-hmm.
So while it could lead to some really cool features, it also brings up some concerns about how all of our information is being used.
So we've got the convenience, we've got big business moves, and we've got data privacy.
Yes,
This is getting pretty complex, but it also feels like we're just scratching the surface here.
we are. And before we move on to the next phase of our deep dive,
Okay.
there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to address:
Right.
the impact of shoppable recipes on the wider food industry.
So you mean beyond just grocery stores and recipe websites?
Exactly. We need to think about the impact on smaller recipe websites and food bloggers,
Oh, yeah.
the meal kit industry, and even restaurants.
Wow.
This technology could disrupt the entire food ecosystem.
Wow. Okay, so we're talking about shaking up the way we produce, consume, and even think about food.
I know it's a lot.
This deep dive is going places I never expected.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
We started with this seemingly simple concept
Right.
of ordering ingredients online, and now we're talking about data privacy and industry disruption and the future of food itself.
All right. I am officially hooked. But before we get too deep into the future, let's take a step back and compare these shoppable recipe services in a little bit more detail.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Let's break down what Recipe Shop and the New York Times Cooking Partnership have to offer, and then we can circle back to the bigger picture.
Okay. Sounds good.
So let's put these two shoppable recipe contenders head to head.
Okay.
Recipe Shop versus the New York Times Cooking in Instacart.
All right.
And on the surface, they both offer that, seamless add to cart experience.
You're right.
But when you look a little bit closer, you start to see that their strategies and their target audiences are actually pretty different.
Okay, so kind of like comparing apples and oranges, even though they both end up in your grocery bag.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So Recipe Shop, as we discussed, is all about simplifying healthy eating for families.
Yeah.
The recipes are designed to be approachable, kid-friendly,
Right?
and they even break down the nutritional content per serving.
Yeah.
It's like having a registered dietitian whispering in your ear as you browse.
And I like that they have that 14-day free trial.
Oh, yeah.
So you can kind of test the waters before you commit to anything.
That's always good.
And they give you the option to shop through Instacart or Walmart.
Oh, wow.
So you're not locked into one platform.
That's a good point. The flexibility is huge for a lot of people.
Totally. Now, on the other side of the ring,
Yes.
we have the New York Times Cooking and Instacart partnership.
Right.
And this one, it seems like, is less about specific dietary needs and more about just leveraging the strengths of these two huge companies.
Exactly. It's like the culinary dream team.
Oh,
You've got the reputation and the expertise of the New York Times Cooking,
right.
combined with the convenience and the reach of Instacart's delivery network.
Yeah, so how does that actually translate to the user experience then?
Well, just imagine you're browsing NYT Cooking for inspiration, and you find this mouth-watering recipe,
Uh-huh.
and with just a couple of clicks, boom, all the ingredients are on their way to your door.
No more scribbling down grocery lists.
Exactly.
Okay, that does sound pretty tempting, especially if you're already like a diehard New York Times Cooking fan.
For sure. And plus, they have those subscription deals.
Right.
A free year of NYT Cooking for annual Instacart Plus subscribers.
Yeah.
Discounts on Instacart Plus for NYT Cooking users.
Mm.
I mean, they're really trying to pull you in.
They are. They're really making it hard to resist.
Yeah.
But, it makes you wonder about the potential downsides, too.
Yeah, for sure.
We talked about data privacy, but what about just, like, recipe discoverability in general? If more and more of these, like, premium recipes are kind of tucked away behind paywalls,
Yeah.
doesn't that create a barrier for some people?
That's a valid concern, and it's something we're going to see play out, I think, as this trend continues.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a divide between the people who have access to these premium recipes
Right.
and those who rely on free resources.
Yeah. So while shoppable recipes offer this undeniable convenience, it feels like they also raise these really important questions about accessibility and equity in the food world.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about the potential impact on all the smaller players, too.
Right. We touched on this earlier, but
Mhm.
it's worth kind of digging a little deeper.
For sure.
If giants like the New York Times and Instacart are dominating this shoppable recipe game,
Right.
what happens to the smaller recipe websites and all the food bloggers out there?
That's a great question, and it's a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
They might need to start getting really creative to compete,
Right.
whether that's through offering like highly specialized content or
Yeah.
really strong community engagement,
Okay.
or maybe even some unique services that go beyond just the recipes themselves.
So like virtual cooking classes or personalized meal planning maybe?
Exactly. They need to offer something that the big guys can't.
Right.
Now zooming out even further,
Okay.
we have to consider what kind of ripple effect this is going to have on the entire food industry.
So beyond recipes in grocery stores, what kind of impact are we talking about?
Well, I mean, imagine a world where meal kits become even more personalized,
Yeah.
tailored to your exact taste and your dietary preferences,
Mm-hmm.
or grocery stores optimizing their layouts based on all of this real-time data about what people are actually cooking.
So instead of me wandering aimlessly through the aisles,
Yeah,
the grocery store basically guides me to the ingredients I need.
that's right. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure for dinner.
I love that. Okay, and then what about restaurants?
Oh, that's another good point. They might actually need to step up their game
Yeah, okay.
to compete with this level of convenience and personalization that's being offered through all these at-home options.
So it's not just about ordering ingredients online, it's about reimagining the entire food landscape,
Yeah.
from the way we shop to the way we cook to even where we choose to eat.
And all of this is being driven by technology that's constantly evolving and shaping our relationship with food in some really interesting ways.
All right, so before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
Okay.
I want to circle back to those Instacart Plus changes that I mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot about that.
I was looking at their membership benefits overview,
Okay.
and as of March 1st, 2025, reduced service fees are no longer a perk.
Oh, interesting. So it seems like they're really shifting gears,
Yeah.
focusing on that added value beyond just saving a couple of bucks on every order.
Yeah, so what are they offering instead? Free delivery is still there,
Yeah.
but it looks like they're really emphasizing things like family accounts,
Nah.
a Peacock premium subscription,
Okay.
and then, of course, the annual New York Times cooking subscription that we talked about.
Right. Plus all those partnership promotions, like discounts on restaurant orders and things like that.
Right.
And for businesses, they have Instacart Plus for businesses
Oh, wow.
with perks, like 2% credit back on eligible orders over $250.
Interesting. So they're really trying to broaden the appeal beyond just like, we'll save you money on delivery fees.
Exactly.
It's more like, hey, we're your one-stop shop for entertainment and meal planning and all things food related.
Right. So it's not just about convenience anymore. It's about building this whole ecosystem,
Exactly.
this brand that encompasses all these aspects of our culinary lives.
And I think that's a really smart response to how competitive the landscape is becoming.
Right.
You've got meal kit companies and grocery delivery services, and now these shoppable recipes,
Yeah. It's a lot.
they need to find a way to stand out.
So this brings us back to this fundamental question, I think.
Yeah.
As shoppable recipes become more and more ubiquitous,
Right.
how is this going to change the way we cook and eat in the long run?
Yeah. Are we heading towards this future where algorithms are dictating our meals?
Wow.
Or are we going to find ways to use this technology to actually enhance our culinary creativity
Right.
and connect more deeply with the food that we're eating?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is, and it's one that we're going to keep revisiting as this technology continues to evolve.
But for now, I think it's time we address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Data privacy.
All right, so we talked about the convenience and the business side of all this and the potential impact of shoppable recipes on the whole food industry.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But there's this one last layer we really need to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Data privacy.
Yeah.
It feels like a buzzword these days, but when it comes to our kitchens and our eating habits, it feels really personal.
Absolutely. I mean, we're essentially inviting these companies into our kitchens
Right.
to track our culinary preferences and our dietary habits,
Yeah.
maybe even our guilty pleasures.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a level of insight that I think is both fascinating and potentially a little unsettling.
Totally. And I think it's so easy to get swept up in the convenience factor and
Right.
not even think twice about it.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, yeah, sure, add those cookies to my cart. I'm
Yeah.
too busy to resist anyway. But then it's like, wait a minute, where does that data go?
Right. Where does it go?
Who has access to it? How is it going to be used beyond just like personalizing my recipe recommendations?
Well, and that's the thing. This data is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's valuable to marketers and food manufacturers and even health insurance companies.
Oh, wow.
Imagine getting targeted ads that are based on your recent grocery hauls or your recipe searches
Okay.
or personalized coupons tailored to your dietary restrictions.
So it's not just about suggesting recipes anymore. It's
Mhm.
about influencing our choices.
Yeah,
Maybe even shaping our eating habits in ways that we don't even realize.
exactly. And, for some people, that level of personalization might be really appealing.
Right.
But for
Mhm.
others, it might feel really intrusive
Yeah.
or even manipulative.
Yeah.
It raises some ethical questions, I think, about transparency and control over our own data.
Yeah, it feels like we're entering this uncharted territory
Mm.
where the lines between convenience and personalization and privacy are just getting really blurry.
It's a lot to think about.
And it's kind of overwhelming, honestly.
It is. It is. But I think these conversations are so important.
Yeah.
We need to be aware of the potential implications and start demanding more transparency from these companies.
Right.
What data are they collecting? How are they using it?
Yeah.
And what kind of control do we actually have over our own information?
So it's not about like rejecting this technology altogether.
Right.
It's about approaching it with a more critical eye
Yeah,
and holding these companies accountable.
absolutely. We need to be informed consumers,
Right.
not just passive participants in this culinary data revolution.
And maybe, all this increased awareness will lead to some more robust privacy policies and better user controls.
Hopefully.
So we've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We went from defining shoppable recipes to uncovering these huge business moves and potential challenges and even these like ethical considerations around data privacy.
Yeah, it really highlights that technology isn't just changing how we cook.
Right.
It's changing our entire relationship with food.
And as this technology keeps evolving, we need to stay informed and ask tough questions and demand transparency from the companies that are shaping this new food landscape.
Couldn't agree more. And to our listeners out there,
Yes.
we encourage you to keep exploring this topic. Try out a shoppable recipe for yourself.
Yeah.
See how it feels. Pay attention to the data that you're sharing and really think about what it all means.
That's a great call to action.
The future of food is in our hands,
It really is.
and it's up to all of us to shape it in a way that benefits everyone.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. And remember, knowledge is power.
Until next time.